Morning, guys. We are doing Unit 3 for World Geography. This is Cultural Geography. It's a weird unit because it splits up into different SOLs. So your notes come from SOL 3, subsections A, B, and C, and then all of SOL 18. The next couple units are going to be weird as far as the numbers go. It's going to cover more than just one SOL at a time, but it says it on the PowerPoint. Well, you guys can't see it right here, but if you pull it up, you can see it. It's in your notes. You'll be fine. Got any questions, let me know. So, cultural geography. Starting with regional. Regional used to simplify the study and understanding of the world. And listen, I'm not reading everything that's going to be up there. I'm just going to hit high notes because we're on sort of a time crunch. So, I'll try. Regions are used to simplify the study and understanding of the world. They are areas of the Earth's surface that share unifying characteristics. They can be defined by physical or cultural characteristics. And they may reflect people's changes in perceptions. So it may not even be something that's actually about the region. It may be something that people think about the region. Okay? Make sense? By the way, A-Day kids, if you're watching this, even though there's only one of you missing, whatever. Everybody has a vocab quiz that will go live tomorrow, a test review, and the notes to do. B-Day kids, you'll take your test on Friday. A-Day kids, you'll take it next Monday. Online kids will go live Friday.
It says this error has been reported to Google and we'll look into it as soon as possible. It's not letting me click on any things.
Then just follow along. Okay.
It's popping up, so watch. It's not letting me.
Go on, you click on anything. We'll let you close that tab. It's already open. If that doesn't work, just follow along and you can go out later.
Okay. What the?
Same thing?
They just opened like 5,000 of them.
Okay, well that's probably not good. So here you can see some different regions. This is some stuff. Sometimes you'll only see the U.S. divided into 4 regions, but it just kind of depends. So types of regions. You have physical regions and you got cultural regions. Under cultural, you have language, ethnic, religious, economic, political. This is just the same thing that was on the last one. It's just a mess. But we'll go through it. I really like this unit. It pains me that I got to rush through some of it. Because some of the stuff is really, really cool. For example, not the physical regions, but we got to go over it anyway. This isn't the really cool one. So, examples of this. You got the Sahara, which is the largest dry desert in the world. It could be Sahara or Sahara. It could be either way. Just depends who you're talking to. The Taiga, Taiga, whatever. It's never as far as. Say hi to Elliot. You're on video. Unit 3 notes. That's what we're working through. And if you miss anything, you can fill them out as we go. And then the rainforests located around the world, around the tropical areas, the equator. That's the stuff we talked about last week. Okay, remember that tropical, wet, or humid, wet, wet and dry, whatever. You also got the Great Plains. Okay, this is going to be in the center portion of the United States. Think Kansas, Nebraska. The really bland corn areas. Okay? You got the Low Countries, which we also talked about last week. Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg. These are where they use polders to reclaim land from the sea. Okay? Reclaim land from the sea. Okay, let's talk about cultural. Starting with language. Okay, cultural regions, like I said, can be language, ethnicity, religion, yada, yada, yada. So let's start with language, like Latin America. Okay, Latin America is basically everything south of Texas. Okay, from Mexico down. Most people in Latin America, with one major exception, which I'll explain in a second, speak Spanish due to Spain's colonial empire from the 15 to the 1800s. Now, Brazil doesn't. Brazil is Portuguese. They are still considered part of Latin America. Okay? But they speak Portuguese because they were controlled by Portugal. Then you got the Francophone world. Okay? And I'm probably mispronouncing that, but whatever. These are countries or areas where the majority of people speak French. A bunch of islands, Canada, about half of Africa, a little bit in Southeast Asia. Okay? These are areas where the majority of people speak French. A big one here is right here. It's Quebec. Okay? You can hear it pronounced Quebec, Quebec, Quebec. If you hear the Beck, that's what we're talking about. Okay? So we'll talk more about Quebec here in a few minutes. You got the Arabic world. So, we'll go back a second.
I'll have to do it later, because it
No,
just.
don't worry about it, it's messing up me.
Is it?
Is yours freezing up?
Is yours working?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with y'all's then.
Mine won't load.
Mine was just being laggy and freezing and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Then-
a little slow, but.
Okay, then y'all just pay attention. You can go, you can fill it in as it works, or you can fill it in later. Just ain't a big deal right now. You got the Arab world. This is where it speaks Arabic. Okay, most of the Middle East, North Africa. Hispanic world. This is where Spanish is the majority language. So once again, Mexico down, and then down the west coast of South America. The U.S. is highlighted because it is still a significant language in our country, although it's not an official language. Does that make sense? It's like in the U.S. it's English, and then Spanish is like 1B. Okay, it's one of the most major languages in the country. Like I said, Brazil is Portuguese. Canada is divided by language. Okay, Quebec, the majority of people in Quebec speak French. The rest of the people in Canada speak English. There's so many people in Quebec that Canada has 2 official languages. Okay. We'll get to why that causes issues a little later on. Switzerland has multiple languages, multiple official languages. The main 3 are German, which is 63% of the population, French, which is 20%, and Italian, which is 65%. Now, English is what is considered an international language. Okay? It's the international language of business and finance. If you want to be big in the business world, doesn't matter where you are, English is the way to go. Or it gets translated to English. And that's due to the U.S. being a superpower after the Cold War and England controlling most of the world through colonies prior to all the independence movements. Okay, ethnicity. There we go. Ethnic enclaves. These are also known as ethnic neighborhoods. There are areas where a majority of people who live there are the same ethnicity. Okay, the most famous ones are Chinatowns. Okay, Chinatowns are ethnic neighborhoods of Chinese people located outside of China. The largest is in New York City, New York. That's the one up here at the top. Okay. The oldest Chinatown in the United States is in San Francisco, because when people from Asia started immigrating to the country, they immigrated to the West Coast because it was closer. Europeans immigrated to the East Coast. Does that make sense? Okay. Other examples of ethnic enclaves, you got Little Saigon, which is Vietnamese, in Los Angeles, Little Havana in Miami, which is Cuban, and Little Italy in New York, which is Italian. Don't know why I had trouble with that. But it's not just little whatever, little whatever, little whatever. Okay? You can also have, for example, Harlem in New York. Harlem is an ethnic enclave, but for African Americans. Okay? That's where, in the 20s and 30s, a lot of music and art and stuff was focused in Harlem and came from there. Kurdistan is an area in Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. This is where the Kurdish people live. It's not an actual country. Okay, they don't have borders. They don't have their own country. They just live in this region. This is what it would look like if they gave it a country. Okay, if the Kurds got their country, this is roughly what it would look like. An ethnic group without a country is called a stateless nation. The two main ones you see with this are the Kurds and the Palestinians. Okay, Palestinians are in Israel. And we'll talk a little bit more about them as we go. Other cultural regions, the Arab region, which we already talked about with language, so I'm not putting anything extra up here for that. The former Yugoslavia, these are the main ethnicities you see there: Serbs, Croats, Bosnians, and Albanians. This is located in the Balkan Peninsula. Today it's broken up into Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Montenegro. But prior to this, all of this was one country. It was Yugoslavia. And in the 90s, there was a conflict here from 92 to 95 that led to even U.S. forces being sent in to try and get the conflict under control. It led to what was known as the Bosnian Genocide, where thousands of Bosniaks were killed by the Serbs and Croats. And even today, the effects of this genocide can still be felt in their region. If you've had World History 2, which I know you should have, either myself, Mr. Harmon, Mr. Robinson, we talked about Rwanda, okay? With the Hutus and the Tutsis, that ringing bells.
I don't remember anything from last year.
Yeah, it got weird last year. Anyway, Hutus and Tutsis, there are two groups. The Hutu was the majority, the Tutsis were the minority. The difference between these groups were the Tutsis were a little taller and their noses were a little thinner. That was it. But in 94, the Hutu-controlled militia groups started killing Tutsis in Rwanda. Okay, 3 months, 800,000 Tutsis were murdered. Men, women, children, it didn't matter. Okay, there's a book about this, which I love having in the classroom because I can actually have the books I can show you as I talk about them. Called Machete Seed. Okay, and what this is it was written by this lady. It's actually a report. This lady went through and interviewed Hutus that committed these murders. These guys are in prison for their actions during this genocide, and she went and interviewed them, and a couple of them were like apologetic. A couple of them said, we were just following orders, and one of them was actually like, I did it because I enjoyed it. They were nothing. They were like cockroaches. I enjoyed it. So, it's a great read. Okay, it's a great read if you're interested in this. It's really sad, but it shows in a whole different light. Then you got the U.S. and Switzerland. These are countries where there's multiple ethnicities. There's no true majority. And they're all unified even though there's several ethnic groups. Okay? For example, in Switzerland, German, French, Italian, they all get along. Even in the midst of the world wars where it was Germany versus France and Italy doing its own thing. Korea and Japan are predominantly one ethnicity. Cyprus is split between the Greeks and the Turks. That's really it. Okay, we're going to talk about religion real quick. I'm going to hit high notes. But this is how religion is distributed today. Okay? The purple is Christianity, green is Islam, blue is Judaism. It's hard to see. The only majority Jewish country is Israel. Yellow is Buddhism, red is Hinduism. Those are the main ones we're going to hit. Okay? But as you can see, Christianity is the majority, the largest religion, but Islam is a very close second. So worldwide, here's the numbers. Okay? And once you get past Buddhism, it's all kinds of different religions. So Hinduism was the main religion in India. It's one of the oldest religions in the world. It's polytheistic, which means more than one God. They believe in reincarnation and karma. And they have several holy books, such as the Vedas, the Upanishads, or I mispronounced that, I'm not even going to try these two because if they're holy books, I don't want to butcher the name. So, that's Hinduism. With Buddhism, it's related to Hinduism. This is similar. Buddhism and Hinduism is similar in the way that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are. It's more so how Christianity and Judaism share some main core things. Buddhism and Hinduism do the same. This was founded by Siddhartha Gautama. It follows the Eightfold Path to Enlightenment and the Four Noble Truths. It was founded in India and spread to the rest of Southeast Asia through the missionary Asoka. Judaism was founded in the Middle East. Israel is the only majority Jewish nation. Some of the major beliefs of Judaism is monotheism, one God. So mono is one, poly is multiple. God made a special covenant with Abraham, who's the father of the Jewish people. The Ten Commandments are how God revealed his laws to his people. Their holy book is the Torah, and they worship in synagogues. This is I believe this is the Wailing Wall, but we'll talk about that more in a few minutes. Questions? I know I'm going through this quick, but because of pictures, we got the whole schedule thrown off. Christianity. I'm not going to stay on this one very long because we're in Hillsville. Okay? It's like you can't turn around without a church and a cross and Jesus showing up. So, high points. Founded in the Middle East, influenced by Judaism, multiple branches including Roman Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodox. Major beliefs include monotheism, Jesus dying for the sins of humankind, and salvation by faith in God. Holy books, the Bible, split into two parts, Old and New Testament, and you worship in churches. Ta-da. There's just some Jesus. And Islam. Okay? Islam is monotheistic, which also means one God, developed in Saudi Arabia in the early 600s. It's directly related to Judaism and Christianity. It all traces back to Abraham. Okay? And that's where the split occurred between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Okay? It's founded by the Prophet Muhammad. You'll see it more often as Muhammad the Prophet, same guy. He lived from 570 to 632 in Saudi Arabia. There are 5 central teachings of Islam, okay? You have the statement of faith, which roughly translated is there is no God but Allah and Muhammad as his prophet, or something very similar to that. Prayer 5 times a day. When you pray, if you're a Muslim and when you pray, you have a prayer mat and you kneel facing Mecca, okay? Which from here, let's see, that's north. It'd be about that direction or so. Okay? 5 times a day, you pray towards Mecca. Do what?
What's Mecca?
Mecca is Saudi Arabia. It's where Islam was founded. It's the holiest city in Islam. Okay? Islam has 3 holy cities. It's Mecca, Medina, and then Jerusalem. And we'll talk about Mecca and Jerusalem a little bit more in a minute. Charity, this is also known as almsgiving. Basically, it's like when you give an offering at the church, same thing. The pilgrimage to Mecca at least once a year in your lifetime, okay? You have to go, at least once in your lifetime, you have to go to Mecca, okay? It's called a Hajj. And then fasting, this is mainly during the month of Ramadan, which changes, I think it's based on a lunar calendar. The teachings of Muhammad were collected in a book called the Quran. You can see it spelled this way or Qur''A''N. Either way, same book.
What goes in the parentheses?
You notice?
Yeah.
The other spelling, Qur''A''N. And Muslims worship in buildings called mosques. Okay, this is a mosque. You can tell where they are by the minarets, these towers. This is the Kaaba, the holiest site in Islam. It's located in Saudi Arabia. Religion is a divisive force. In India, in Pakistan, India is majority Hindu. Pakistan's majority Muslim, and they are fighting over this region right here called Kashmir. Okay? And they've been fighting for 70 years over it. A little more, but roughly 70 years. If there's a nuclear war, this is where it's going to break out between India and Pakistan. Okay, it's not going to be us and Russia. It's not going to be us and China. It's not going to be North Korea. It's going to be these two countries finally being done with each other and launching nukes at each other. That's how much they hate one another. Northern Ireland, this is my personal favorite. Okay, I did my senior seminar class at Radford was on Northern Ireland, so I wrote a 30-page paper about this stuff. This is so interesting to me, and I hate that it's going to get like 3 minutes for me to talk about. But when we get to Europe, I'll talk more about it. So in Northern Ireland, there's conflicts between Catholics and Protestants. This is on the northern part of the Irish island, but is controlled by the United Kingdom. Okay? There was a boiling point during the Troubles in the late 1960s, during what's known as Bloody Sunday. Catholics were protesting for more rights because the Catholics were put down on by the Protestants, and the police just started killing protesters. Okay, violence broke out. A lot of protesters died, including priests. And that really kicked off the Troubles, which ended in 1998 through the Good Friday Agreement. During this time, they blew up this group right here, the Provisional Irish Republican Army, which was the Catholic Army. Killed British troops, killed British police, blew up hotels, set off bombs in London and Manchester. I mean, it was an all-out war for 30 years in the United Kingdom due to this. So, there you go. And as you can see in this picture, I mean, that's just a regular woman. And I say woman, but it was probably, I'd even say like a teenage girl, early 20s, that would take up arms in this fight. Because what they would do is they'd use guerrilla tactics, they'd hit and run. So like she's dressed, here, let me kill you so you can see. I mean, she's dressed in normal, a jacket and a skirt. They would take a few shots at the police, shots at the army, dump the gun, and blend right back in with the crowd.
That's smart.
Okay? It's a very smart way to fight a war in a very developed country. But I'm not saying take up arms and fight the U.S. government. Okay? And I'm not saying what they did was right. Yes, I became more sympathetic to the IRA when I was studying and the Catholics and what they were fighting for, but the way they did it was still wrong. Does that make sense? Like their ideals were right, their purpose was good, the way they went about it was wrong. Okay, Jerusalem is a big issue. And here's why, okay, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they all claim Jerusalem as their holy city, but I'm starting to run out of time, so. You can see in the notes in your PowerPoint why they consider it to be holy. Sunni and Shia, I'll hit this quickly. These are the two branches of Islam. Sunni are the majority worldwide. Shia are the minority worldwide, but they're the majority in like Iraq, Iran, areas like that. Okay? These tensions have intensified during power struggles such as the Iraq War, Syrian Civil War, and Islamic State, ISIS, did a genocide against the Shias. So, I mean, this is a huge deal as far as divisive. Like here, you can see the blue and green shades are Sunni. The yellow, orange, red are Shia. Economic regions, you have the wheat belt in the United States where grain's growing. You have the European Union in Europe. Political regions, you got NATO. You have the African Union, so this is NATO. It's North American and European countries. African Union is literally every country in Africa. Okay. Labels and perceptions. The Middle East is a group of nations at the crossroads of Africa and Asia, also known as Southwest Asia. I didn't put a map up here because everybody knows where the Middle East is. The Sun Belt is the southern United States. Population here has grown once they invented the air conditioner because it was so hot. Not a lot of people lived there until there was air conditioner. Rust Belt, now that's where old people go and retire. Rust Belt's northeastern United States. Up here, this is where heavy industries such as steel, automobile manufacturing, areas like that. Real quick, landforms affect transportation, population, distribution, and the location of cities. Water features act as natural political boundaries, and then I'm not going to go too far into the human interactions because we already did that last week. It's just a review. So the Rio Grande forms the boundary between the U.S. and Mexico. The Ob River flows northward into the Arctic Ocean and Russia. The Zambezi provides water power in South Africa, not like the country South Africa, but like southern areas of Africa. And the Ganges and Brahmaputra rivers are flood hazards in India. With the mountains, the Rocky Mountains create rain shadows. Okay, basically what happens is the rain gets caught in the mountains and doesn't go over. So that's why there's desert on this side, but it's rainy on this side. The Himalayas do similar things where they block moistures and create steppes and deserts in Central Asia. Deforestation, this is in the Amazon, Nepal, Malaysia. Acid rains in the Black Forest in Germany. The Aswan High Dam has led to decreased soil fertility in Egypt. And desertification, this is seen in Africa with the Sahara and Asia with the Gobi deserts. Real quick, architecture, you're going to see a lot of pictures. Yay, pictures. Yeah, 8 pictures we got. Right, 6 minutes. Okay, synagogues are where Jewish people worship. Mosques are where Muslims worship. Pagodas are religious buildings in Asia. With housing, yurts or tents. You see these in Mongolia and Floyd. You see these in Floyd a lot. Okay? Floyd, yeah, like Floyd County. Yeah. The hippies. They live in yurts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thatched roofs, these are like the straw roofs. You see these in the islands in the Pacific. Tiled roofs, this is talking about red tile. You see them in the Mediterranean and in Europe. Chalets are houses with steep roofs. These are common in Switzerland. Castles are common in Europe. The Kaaba is in Saudi Arabia, holiest location in Islam. The Western Wall is the holiest location in Judaism. It's in Jerusalem. The Dome of the Rock is the third holiest site in Islam in Jerusalem. And the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is holy to Christians. It's also in Jerusalem. Can y'all see why Jerusalem is a problem? All 3 religions claim it. The Taj Mahal is in India. The pyramids of Giza are in Egypt. The Kremlin is a former ancient fortress, now houses the Russian government in Moscow. The Eiffel Tower is in Paris. The National Mall in the United States, Washington, D.C., home to the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and the Capitol Building. The White House, y'all know what the White House is, okay? It's where the president lives.
Why do they look different in the 2 pictures?
This is the front, this is the back.
Hmm.
When people take pictures like, hey, it's a selfie in front of the White House, it's usually this side.
Yeah.
This is the other side that's harder to see. Statue of Liberty is in New York, given to the U.S. by the people of France. Golden Gate Bridge is in San Francisco. Local political divisions from smallest to largest. You have neighborhoods, election districts, school districts, regional districts, cities, counties, and states. Reasons: you have desire for government closer to home, need to solve local problems, need to administer resources more effectively. For conflict and cooperation, conflict, you have boundary disputes, cultural differences, economic differences, scarce resources, cooperation, natural disasters, advantages, similarities, things like that. Internationally, NATO, North American, European, Western Europe countries founded to protect from the Soviet Union. The EU is a political and economic union in Europe. The U.S., or United Nations, is the most powerful intergovernmental organization in the world. The League of Arab States is right here. Organization of American States, African Union. These are just more political groups. We talked about those. Conflict: Syria and Israel fight over the Golan Heights, Western Sahara and Morocco. It's just been fighting since Western Sahara. China and Taiwan. Taiwan claims independence. China doesn't recognize it. India and Pakistan fight over Kashmir. The Quebecois are French-speaking Canadians in Quebec. We already talked about those and those. Red Cross, Red Crescent, same thing. Red Cross is in Christian nations, Red Crescent in Muslim. The Commonwealth of Nations is former British territories. The Antarctica Treaty basically says Antarctica is neutral. UN peacekeepers help keep the peace. The Peace Corps was an independent agency which wants to promote international understanding. With like a minute to spare. If you have any questions, leave a comment, concerns, email me, something like that, okay?